Welcome. I'm Janet Richmond, and this is the Higher Self Voice.
Well, hello, everyone. It's Janet. It's Wednesday, and I'm back. I'm excited to be here. It's a special show today, and one that is important. And I'm going to be working on Ryan. I've worked on him before. He is the son of a caller, Robin, that calls in from time to time. And he has a significant pattern. He is a paranoid schizophrenic and has a lot of problems in life as a result, and it has been hard for his parents. It's a difficult road when you have this kind of pattern in your own life or in a loved one's life. And so not only does my heart go out for Ryan, it also goes out for the family. And the situation with Ryan has intensified. In some ways, it's gotten more difficult. And so Robin reached out and she asked me to do another healing. Now, when she did that, I suggested that I send her one of the chapters from my second book. It happens to be about a series of healings I did on a paranoid schizophrenic. I call her Sophia in the book. And I worked on her maybe 2, 3, 4 dozen times. She had a even more severe situation than Ryan, but very severe. And I wanted her to read it, of course, was for her to understand just how deep this kind of soul scramble or this kind of difficulty goes. And it takes really consistent work, consistent attention, consistent neutralizing. But these higher self techniques absolutely can help and do help. But I wanted her to understand, and she does understand really well, that even though whatever I do accomplish on the radio is permanent, whatever we neutralize, whatever comes up, whatever is, cleared in this session, it is still, in a way, but a tip of the iceberg when we have a pattern with this kind of depth. And she understood very well, but she very much wants to give it a try. And when I read you the email she sent explaining the situation, the current situation, you'll know why she's hoping that there'll be some kind of shift, some kind of help, and I'll explain that in a bit. She will be listening to the phone call herself. She's been so upset about everything, and it's been difficult for her these last few days, and so I don't know that she'll come on and talk to everyone, but she is listening live, and I send her my love, and I know all the listeners will send it to her as well. But before I begin, I would like to just give you some brief feedback. I did hear from Shannon. Now, Shannon, I think I worked on her 3 weeks ago. She was the one that had so many difficulties in her life, including Lyme's disease, which she had diagnosed very, very late, and as a result, it had done a lot of damage, and she was in chronic pain, and there were many other things, too. I encourage you, I believe it was three Wednesdays ago, so if you're interested to hear her healing and hear her issues, please go back and take a listen. It was very interesting, and I'm, of course, always hopeful that there's a shift. And she did send me a feedback, and she said, since the show, she's been doing quite well. I've kept up with listening to your archive shows 3 to 5 times a week. And I just want to say, yippee, thank you, not because they're mine, but thank you for really, if you heard my show last week, any of you, I was really encouraging everyone to be consistent, make that commitment to yourself to do the work, because there just seems to be some sort of disconnect when people know in the real world, you know, you have to work at things. You have to put in the time. You have to pay your dues and all of that. I'm not going to repeat all that I said last week. But somehow with the energetic work, mostly because there is a limited understanding of energetics and where they all come from and just how much we have and just how powerful an effect they have on our lives, people often are looking for that magic bullet. But Shannon really has made the commitment to herself, and she is really doing the work. And whether it's doing my techniques or any other kind of techniques, that commitment to the self is really key. That's like saying, I'm important. I'm someone that matters, and I deserve to get better. And because you are making that commitment, you are activating and empowering and self-empowering yourself. And so that's what Shannon's been doing. So I'll read you the rest of her thing. She said she's also been doing a lot of the empowerment with her amalgamations as well, primarily with her immune system, her digestive system, and her nervous systems. The pain has been managed well, and I feel empowered connecting to the divine soul essence, the higher self, the originating source, and calling in that which raises her vibrations. And she says she does the releasing and neutralizing too, usually at night before bed. She said today, which I think she wrote me yesterday, it was a high pain day for some reason, but otherwise I've been doing exceedingly well. All day I've been calling in divine nervous system, divine neurotransmitters, and divine calm, and I'll be able to attend an event I thought earlier I would have to cancel. So the energy she's calling in do make her feel better, and that's what they're there for. We all have access to them, and that's exactly what they're there for. She said she started a new essential oil protocol for the Lyme's disease, and the neutralizing and empowering has much enhanced that process as well. Now, this is so terrific. I'm so excited she mentioned this because you infuse other things with the divine energies, and you're also going to get help. She said, I feel like the oils are enhanced by the empowerment energy, and it's a very proactive process for her. And yes, Shannon, I haven't responded to her email yet, but I will. But if you're listening to the show, I am responding saying, great. This is so exciting. And yes, you're right. When we infuse the divine energies in the various parts of our day, parts of our lives, various healing modalities that we are using other than what I share with you guys, it is always going to empower. It's always going to raise the vibration and bring it to your highest ideal. So it's very exciting, and I'm thrilled. She said today it would have been easy to say, because she woke up with a lot of pain. She said it would be easy to say, I can't focus, I can't do this. But I did what I could and feel like it's becoming second nature to do this. Even 3 minutes can make a difference. Thank you, Shannon, because this person, me, I keep repeating that, doesn't take a lot of time to get the benefit. And I think I get, you go Janet deaf at some point because you hear it so much, but here you're hearing it from Shannon. Not only has it become second nature, but she doesn't have to do it very long to make a difference. And that's really exciting that she brought that out, and I want to thank her very much. She clearly will have a ways to go. She has a lot to work on. She had a lot of issues, and Lyme's disease not having been caught early is definitely a big issue all by itself. So, but she's on the right track, and she's going to find in 6 months to a year that things have shifted very significantly for her, even physically. This work helps with everything. Otherwise, I wouldn't tackle somebody like Ryan or Sophia that has very serious mental issues. The energetics, the soul beliefs, the soul identities, the soul hurts and wounds all affect what we are manifesting in that outer reality, whether it's our physical body or our mental state or our emotional state, our psychological state. It affects everything, and these techniques I share with you help with everything. Again, the more serious issues, the really deep patterns, they take that consistent work. And, it would be like if you were 100 pounds overweight and you decided you were going to get into physical shape. And I know I keep using the gym analogy until you're shaking your head and rolling your eyes. But if you decided to take care of the physical body and you join a gym, it's not going to take you a week or 3. It's going to take a year or 2 of consistent work to really deal with that physical baggage, which of course is reflective of the energetic baggage, and it would go faster if you worked on both sides of the coin. But the analogy here is just saying, when we have an incredibly deep pattern, when we have an incredibly deep issue, it takes commitment. And what is 1 or 2 years? I mean, Sophia had experienced these major problems in her whole adult life, been in and out of institutions, had so many problems, and she's really had great results. Is it perfect yet? No. But compared to the prior 20 years, there's such a significant change. And it's been a couple, 3 years. I don't know exactly. But the point is, guys, there can be change for these very deep, serious issues if there's commitment. Ryan is a little bit different. Sophia sought me out. She came to me because she was determined to get well. She didn't want to live with all the nightmares she was having. I don't mean necessarily nightmares at night. I just mean her life was in a state of shambles. She didn't want to live like that anymore, so she was seeking help. Ryan's mom, Robin, is coming to me, and she's seeking that help. And so I'm going to read you the email that she sent because I want you all to understand what is happening in the moment. Okay. Ryan graduated from USC in 2010. He wanted to conduct his philosophy research in grad school, but he didn't get in, and after several years of trying to submit his applications, he finally gave up, all the while continuing his research on his own. He relied heavily on the USC library for his philosophy books. He had a lot of them out. He often had overdue fines. One day, the USC library said his card had expired, and Ryan went off the deep end. Instead of calling to find out the issue and work it out civilly, he immediately assumed Ryan was in on the plot with the FBI to suppress his research because he says it calls for, quote, a new order of society. Now remember, Ryan is a paranoid schizophrenic. Okay, he wrote a series of hateful, racially charged emails which got progressively worse about killing the Jew capitalists and squishing their, I can't read that out, but squishing their, you can imagine, a body part, and putting them in the infinite torture matrix. Several of the library workers were Jewish and felt threatened and afraid. USC filed a complaint to the police that eventually led to Ryan's arrest. He had made those kind of threats to us for years, and they saw it, Robin and her husband saw it as just hot air. He'd never made any move to carry them out. His goal was to hurt and be mean, a projection of his own inner confusion and self-loathing. But this was the first time he took his angry, mean threats out into society. He was arrested on September 24th on felony criminal threat charges, very serious. He's mostly been in LA County Jail, but they transferred him yesterday to Wayside in Castaic. He's been okay in jail, thank God. As far as the library card, it turns out Rich and I returned 33 library books, paid the fines, and the librarian asked if we wanted to reinstate the card. We said it wouldn't be possible now, but it just shows that Ryan could have remedied the situation if he had not acted improperly. Also, Ryan has an idea for a business that incorporates his research, but his early attempts to get that business going were disappointing. So I think Ryan, this is Robin talking, I think Ryan is at the crossroads in his life. What to do now? And his level of anxiety and psychosis are skyrocketing. Ryan does not think there's anything wrong with him, and he rejects any notion that he has a mental illness, the paranoid schizophrenia, and could possibly benefit from medication. He sees himself as someone important because of his groundbreaking, or what he feels is groundbreaking, research. But he believes the government is trying to suppress, and that they've implanted something in him that allows them to read his mind, and that he's being followed everywhere by the FBI. He is in complete denial that there's anything wrong with his thinking, and he's always the victim. He's never wrong. He's better, smarter than others, and he should be the leader of a new system for society. Okay. Now, he has some serious issues, and that paranoid schizophrenia, it's not that I'm any kind of expert on it, but because you're paranoid, any attempts to be rational or to help often get seen as, in conspiracy mode. And the paranoid schizophrenics are very difficult to heal or to get into therapy. I was lucky that Sophia really did want to heal herself. She was incredibly paranoid, and you will see when you read my book. But because she had that self-motivation, she was able to allow it in somehow. So it was different for her than I think a lot of others, and it's just very difficult for Ryan. Anyway, tomorrow, Robin continues, is the preliminary hearing. And they are hoping that the attorney can work out a settlement with the DA for lesser charge, probation, and court-ordered psych counseling. But Ryan has to agree to the psych counseling, and Robin isn't sure he will. Ryan is also banned from coming within 100 feet of the USC campus. I mean, this is intense, guys, and his parents, their hearts are breaking. It is very, very difficult. Anyway, she says, I wish he would do counseling to try medication to see how it affects his thinking. He would see taking medication as the government trying to brainwash him. So she's iffy about that possibility. But in any case, there's always that hope. And she says, though, I hope the healing will put Ryan in a more conciliatory mood for the hearing tomorrow, and that he will accept the terms of psych counseling if it is offered. On the other hand, the DA may not want to settle at all, and the case could go to trial, which we don't want to happen. And she just goes on to say that she's been a total wreck, and she just doesn't know what's going to happen. Well, here's the deal. When I do the healing today, and we're going to go into a healing on it for sure, when I do the healing today, I just want to be really clear that the healing is in Ryan's highest ideal. It is going to bring him to the place that is the best for him at that the moment in time. So you and I, or every listener might think, oh, let's get him out of jail, let's whatever, but that may not necessarily be the highest idea for Ryan. I don't know in my little pea brain what is the highest ideal. We all know that often the darkest clouds offer the brightest silver lining, and I don't know how this dark cloud needs to play out in order to bring that silver lining in at the very highest level. So I just want everyone to know and understand that I'm not going to be focusing on what I personally wished would happen. Maybe that is the best thing, but I have to put it in the highest idea, guys. That's just the way it works with the amalgamation. And if I go to heal the elbow, and it's really the knee we need to address, and you've heard me talk about this often, that knee is going to get healed no matter how hard I'm trying to heal the elbow. So, so I just want to be clear on that. I did have a case, and it's also in my book, of a guy I knew for 30 years who went into a serious diabetic coma and was in it for over 3 weeks. And I was going in and working on him and this, that, and the other, and everybody thought it would be better for him to, he was indecisive about whether to die or not, which is why he didn't come out of the coma. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you that story. Ryan's is enough. It's enough. The book should be out soon, guys. I think within a month, maybe sooner. I'm just not sure of how the process goes right at the moment. What more part of the process I still haven't done yet. So in any case, there's just so many examples in my book. It's just a lot. You're going to really enjoy reading it, I think. I want to instead really focus on this healing for Ryan, and we'll do the best we can to make tomorrow unfold in the best way that it possibly can. And I had gotten the impress from the higher selves all morning to bring in not only Ryan and his parents to be part of the healing, at least energetically, but also I'm going to bring in everyone involved in the case, the attorneys for both sides, the judge, anybody directly or indirectly related to the case, as well as Ryan. I don't know whether or not we're going to do a long healing on the other people, but I want to bring the whole situation, the whole condition into the highest ideal. I also am going to bring in everyone that he is connected to within the prison system, wherever he is, whether it's other inmates, whether it's guards, whether it's administrators, whatever it is, because I want the experience there to also be moving and shifting into highest ideal for him, and make that situation as good as we can make it. So we have a lot to cover today, and so I'm just going to get started. I know that Robin is listening, and she's going to go along with it, and I already know you will be brought in, Rich, and also Ryan's dad. Okay, so we are. Well, you know the drill, guys. I'm sorry, but it's kind of a heavy kind of day. My heart is very full and very much wanting to make this situation better. Anybody out there who's a parent can understand just and empathize so intensely when something isn't right with our children, no matter what it is, little, big, or in between. It's very tough. So this is a heavy kind of thing. So, okay, guys, I want everyone to sit back, relax. I'm going to have a little bit of water here. Get comfortable. Take those few deep breaths. And I can see, excuse me, I can see already the higher self setting the scenario. I see many, many people around oh, that's interesting. Okay. I see many people around the hub, past, present, and future listeners. I see around the rim of the wheel, not the hub. The hub there's multiple hubs. It's as if, it reminds me of the Apple Watch, where you have these little symbols all around the face. It's like we have different platforms of energy that are housing all the souls that I mentioned. And on the different platforms, you have the different souls. You have the courtroom souls, the ones involved in the legal proceedings, the judge, the lawyers, and all of that. On one platform, you have the things in the prison, the whole scenario, all the people involved in the prison, at least those that wish to come in. We have the parents and the step parent, and we have Robin, and we also on our own separate one, and we also have Ryan right there in the center of it all. And I now am just going to ask everyone to just focus on my voice, understanding that we're activating first that now moment. Just follow my voice and bring that mind's eye in. We're trying to activate the focus of attention. As you all know, we want to make that focus of attention as pointed as we can, because it's the turn-on switch. And with it, we're moving into this now moment, and I see it being set up. It's encompassing the totality of all. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm getting a little wave from Jane of Jane and Company, and the reason they're here is because there was an entity, and Jane and Company, I think I've mentioned briefly to you all on the radio. If not, you'll learn about them in the second book. They're mentioned in the second book more than once, and I have a summary of the third book, because my next book is going to be on Jane and Company. And one of the beautiful souls that are part of Jane and Company is someone named Aggie, and she had some very severe mental illness. It's a long story. I'm not going to go into it now, but she indicated that she wanted to be present for this healing to help with Ryan. And I think she may have come in before. I'm now, it's just triggering a memory for me that another time that she was here. Well, she's here, but there's more than just Aggie here. There's a bunch of souls here. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, the indication I'm getting is that they're actually going to help spread some of the energy that we're giving and utilizing on Ryan. They're going to, of course, with the help of the higher self, because they are always supervised by those, with great experience and everything. So they're supervised by the higher selves, and they will be bringing the energies to others who are both in body and out of body to help others with this kind of mental illness. So that's just a whole other ripple effect of the healings that we're doing. And I'm excited about that. How exactly they do it, I don't know. I'm not given that information right at the moment. But they're here, and so they are participating in that way. Okay, so now we are going to continue using the focus of attention. We have the now moment, very powerful energy field set up, and it is going to be expanded, and it is being expanded into the forever now moment, where we are going to be encompassing the totality of the past, present, and future nows. And this forever now moment is absolutely huge. It is very, very all-encompassing, and it's important because it allows us to tap in a very deeply conscious, significant way into the past and future nows that may have some bearing on the current life pattern. So that is very, very important for all of us to be aware of and to focus on, and understand that the higher self have brought this forever now moment to me and encouraged me to bring it to you all, because it's just, we want to bring the healing into the highest level we can, especially, but really not just because it's a heavy moment. We want to do it for every healing, no matter how major or not major a situation is. We always want to do it because we always want as much of the energetics that we've carried forward into this life to be healed, as many layers as we can. So this gives us access to the totality of the soul process. And so I'm seeing very much that Ryan is here. I mean, he's here, but I am being indicated for some reason. Specifically, the highlight is on Ryan, so I'm guessing we're going to start there. Now, the next step is simply to use that focus of attention to activate the pure soul essence light that we all have. And it is happening. And by activating the light and expanding the light, we are filling not only the now moment, but the forever now moment. We are, in essence, becoming one with, amalgamating with this pure soul essence light, both at the physical, the mind, and the soul level. So the light is just permeating the totality of that forever now moment. And it's becoming a brilliant field, a brilliant energetic field, filling with all of the light. And it is attracting in, as it does every week. It's many souls who are coming to partake of the light. It's really wonderful that we're able to help in this way. And now we're going to, well, because we've expanded the light to fill this forever now moment, we are able to join in one accord, and we are doing that. So we're all working together on this, guys. And we're now calling in that conglomerate higher self energy, and it's the higher selves of each and every one of us, and there's multiple other higher selves here, those who are in charge of some of the people, those who are supervising Jane and company. There are many, many higher selves here. There are higher selves in charge of certain types of souls, like those who are mentally ill. There's just a lot of energetics here helping today. So I'm just appreciative of all the energy, and it's filling and becoming one with the totality of the forever now moment, and with becoming one with the totality of all of us at that soul level. And the last step, of course, is bringing the energetic field into and becoming one with the originating source of all there is, moving it into that creative force, quote-unquote, womb of originating source, which enables us to tap into an incredible, powerful resource, a reservoir of this creative life force energy that empowers what we already carry, enabling us to give birth to ourselves, and in particular to Ryan and any of the others we are healing today, into a higher frequency, into a more expanded place. And so it is working that empowerment side very consistently throughout the healing, even though I tend to focus in on the more negative side. I want you all to be aware that the empowerment is ongoing all the time. Even though many of the listeners here are not mentally ill, many of us know people that are, many of us have family members that are, or don't we all carry elements? Of course we do. We all carry elements of and aspects, especially of whatever has come in and is part of the emotional space behind the pattern, or as part of the psychological space, or as part of the misunderstandings and misconceptions. So even though we're working on Ryan and his particular situation, please be aware that you can work on elements for your own situation. And if you know anybody who is mentally ill, the higher selves are indicating another hub, and there are people already on there that I didn't mention, and you can place your loved ones or your friends or acquaintances on that hub, anybody you might know that has issues with mental illness. And in this way, they are being brought into the state of total amalgamation, and they will have the work done on them as well. That had already been happening, and I hadn't noticed it before. So anyway, that's ongoing as well. This is a massive healing. Wow. Okay. So, but that's okay. We can handle it, guys. We're unlimited, all right? We have so much ability once we put that focus of attention out there and activate the divine energies, keeping in mind that the higher selves also come from the divine will level, and therefore, we have invited them in, and they are amazing too. So they are here to help. So, okay, now, all right. So now I feel that it's. I need the spotlight system, like they have on stage. When you have a lot of people on stage, the one you're supposed to watch or focus on is the one that's in the spotlight, and that's what the higher selves just gave me. They put the spotlight on Ryan, and I don't recall anything that I said about him before, but I want to put the spotlight on Ryan, and it's interesting because he sees the spotlight, or he senses it, of course, and it's only symbolic, and he immediately has gone into his paranoia, immediately interpreting it as something negative in nature that they've, quote unquote, found him, and he is imagining the worst, that he is now going to be moving into being tortured and all sorts of things. Oh my gosh, he's absolutely moved full on into this type of paranoia and doesn't know where to hide, because that light is so powerful that it has him, there's nowhere to hide. There's no shadow. There's no darkness there. He doesn't know what to do. It's just confronting, helping him or enabling him to confront this complete paranoia in a way that I don't know that he ever has before. Now, of course, it's just a symbol and it's happening at the unconscious level for him, but it's kind of got him almost frozen like a deer in headlights. But the good news is, because he can't hide, he has to, the moment that he's standing there keeps expanding. It keeps growing, and he's waiting for the shoe to drop. He's waiting for the torture to begin. He's waiting for the worst to happen, but nothing is happening. It's not happening. So so as he's doing this, I'm going to ask the higher self to please help begin the release of the paranoia. And I feel it coming out through the top of his head, because that paranoia is driven by misconception and misunderstanding. Now, of course, there's a lot of emotions behind it, but right now I'm just having the paranoia come out through the top of his head. I want it to be flushed out. Let's call in the divine flush. We want to allow him to release the paranoia and the confusion, because he's very confused. He was so locked into this belief that once he was found, he was, everybody was after him, and everyone wants to get him, so to speak, and put him away. And so he's waiting for all the negative consequences that he's imagined for a long time. And so he's very confused, since the light is just there and he's standing in the center of it, and that's it. It's nothing as terrible as happening to him. So there's tremendous amount of confusion coming up, a tremendous amount of confusion. And with it, I would like the belief systems that are behind that confusion, all those belief systems that hold him prisoner in and lock out his ability to discern, his ability to be rational, his ability to see clearly. So I want to call in divine clarity, divine understanding, divine serenity, and divine calm. And I just am watching him let some of this go, and he's kind of in a state of shock here, because he doesn't get it. There is a tremendous amount of not only confusion, but there's like an empty space. It's almost as if he doesn't have the concept available to him at the mind level of what is happening to him, which is nothing bad, okay, in the symbol. So he has to literally has to acclimate to the fact that the light, being out in the light, having been found, has not led to torture, to his death, to all the terrible things that he's imagined, and I have no idea all the things he has imagined. But I just know, both in this life and in other lives, there was a lot of true events that actually did happen to him that got folded in to this soul scramble in a way that was very distorted and very intensified as the lives went through, and he brought in situations and the conditions based on his belief systems that only made them more complex and more entrenched. So he literally lost the ability to see any other option. This is, wow. I mean, for me, it all makes logical sense, but I would never have really gone there or known consciously to think that. But that's really, he's kind of in this state of, or like, what? And there's nothing coming in to fill it. So I want to call in divine understanding, divine clarity of vision, and I want the higher self to please bring in, help him to fill that empty void. Divine reason, perhaps, divine discernment. There needs to be some sort of divine serenity, although he seems to be handling it fairly well. I don't see the anxiety going off the chart, but I'm sure there's tons of anxiety there anyway, so let's just work on that. That's coming out. That's a little bit different aspect or piece of this puzzle, so I'm sure we're going to get to the anxiety down the line. Right now, it's literally that we want to call in divine sanity. We want to call in divine sanity because he's been removed from that sane, and I'm using it loosely. Of course, there's moments and probably many moments of sanity for him, but the part of he carries energetically is relating to being sane is not near as strong as this other kind of very difficult state of mental illness. So we want to, that's what the higher selves are calling in and using to empower, to help fill that sort of gap of what, because he doesn't have readily available, although he's certainly been sane in many of his lives, but probably a long time ago. So what is really at the forefront for him are all of the, very bizarre and deep misunderstandings that he's carried for a very long time. So now we're calling in divine sanity, and I do now see that void, that hole being filled, and I want to call in divine love and divine hope. And I want to, so I feel there's more acceptance. Let's call in divine acceptance. There's more acceptance that possibly there's more than he thought there would be to life. There's more than he had any concepts of around. He's beginning to feel, I'm seeing this almost like he's looking around and seeing with fresh eyes that the light is simply, it's not out to get him, it's not an omen predicting his downfall or his death or his torture, but instead it's now beginning to illuminate the landscape around him. And he's able to see that landscape in a way that he hasn't seen it probably for a very long time. I don't know quite how long it's been since he's had it, maybe this problem, maybe, I can't remember, maybe 10 years, 8 to 10 years. So I'm sure he grew up before this came into play. As he was growing up, there was much more of this ability to be reasonable or have reason. But once the the schizophrenia started to move in. He hasn't been in this position for a while. And I do see him now looking around him in a way that does, it's a reminder. It's reminding him that there is more, and that he's beginning, some of that tunnel vision is opening up. Instead of seeing everything from behind the silver foil, where you're protecting yourself from the attacks, the energetic attacks that you believe are happening to you, he's able to take the foil off the window, so to speak, and look out and see that there is more out there that he wasn't seeing. Now, this is really, really great. What's coming up now, though, is a sense of, now I'm feeling the anxiety. Now I'm feeling the, oh my gosh, how do I handle this kind of world? He'd built his identity, he'd built his reality so around the other that now that he sees something different, it's kind of scary. It's like the landscape has changed, and you've gone from, say, a desert into a jungle or into a mountainside, and you're so used to the desert, you have no idea. What do you do in a mountainside? You've got flip-flops on or bare feet for the desert, and you need shoes for the mountainside. It's this feeling of being unable to cope, incompetent, and not knowing where to start, how to deal with anything different. Now, I'm feeling a lot of pain in the chest area, and it's almost like there's a fear of hoping here. There's a fear that maybe life will be different. There's a fear that maybe this part is delusional. Maybe this really is fake and the other was really real. And so there's this self-doubt coming up. This self-doubt and this fear to hope that maybe he's been able to see things a different way, and maybe he's just being foolish. Maybe he's just blind to the realities. Maybe he's being just like what he thinks other people have been because they don't agree with his reality. So he thinks, maybe I'm just becoming one of the masses that doesn't really see what's really happening. Of course, in his delusional state, he's seeing it from his viewpoint. And of course, we all have viewpoints, so very few people would see it exactly from his viewpoint, no matter what it was. But because it's such an extreme viewpoint, he doesn't have many people who would agree, so to speak, with his tunnel vision. So he's wondering, is he going to become one of those masses? And I really want him to begin, I want the higher selves to help flush out some of the fears and the doubts. The fears that maybe he can't handle it, maybe this is the delusion, and this is false, and this is not the real thing. And maybe he's just, all of those doubts and all of those questions and all of the pain too, because there is a lot of pain here. Let me see. Of course, there's pain here because of the very real events from the past lives, and I'm seeing a lot of that pain being released. It's just gushing out like this really dark energy. There's a lot of pain here, but there's other kind of pain here too. This is interesting. I am seeing that he's, and this seems fast to me. This seems really fast, but he seems to be getting what's coming up for him, and what's causing him a lot of pain is that he's beginning to understand that the people around him, his parents, and others that have been close to him, those who've tried to help him, anybody in his life, he sees that he's hurt them and made it difficult for them. And he now is bringing in pain from that. I actually am seeing guilt. This was unexpected. I didn't think he would get that clear that quickly. but he, clear in the sense of seeing that his behavior had an impact on others. Now, how this would play out in the real life, I don't know. But even if we get rid of 2 out of 2,000 layers, let's get rid of as much as we can of that the guilt and the shame and the feeling of doing wrong by people and taking on all of that. He definitely has deep wells of that, not just from this life, certainly not just from this life, and not just related to this particular issue. So we want to just release guilt and shame as much as we can. It does seem to be driving a lot of his absolute conviction that he's had for so long that he's right. Because if he even thought maybe he wasn't right, this is before, it would allow out this pain and this shame, and it's so difficult for him to face. So luckily, we're getting to it in the unconscious healing. I want him to release as much of that, because this actually, it's as if he didn't look at the fact he could be wrong, then he won't tap into all of that pain and that shame underneath that is so overwhelming. He just couldn't let it in. And so that was part of what was driving this part of this little piece of the mental issues. So we want to release that pain and that guilt and that shame. Oh, just really, really a lot. We probably have released some in another healing. I just can't imagine I would have done a healing where this didn't come up before. But there's a lot more here, so let's just keep releasing it. And because he released some layers before, he's getting to deeper layers now, which means, hey, all the better. Less fuel to promote this idea that he's always right and that he can't look at different ideas and open up his approaches, his concepts, his viewpoints. So we want to release, have him release as much as possible. Okay, so while he's doing that, because that's a pretty deep thing, that's ongoing, and I feel it really sucking in from the past and future nows. It's sucking in from those many parts of his soul process and releasing a lot of that deep well. So we're just going to keep allowing that. And now I want to, the spotlight is gone to Robin. And Robin, I'm going to have you release also, the pain and the suffering you're going through. I do see you have been with your son in many lives. This is a very deep connection that you have. There's a tremendously deep love that you have for your son, and there's also a deep conviction that you want to help him. And I do believe that you two co-created coming in together today, this life, I don't mean today, to help bring resolution and healing and balance into this pattern. And I believe you have helped him in many other lives, but you've come away from those lives feeling that you fell short, that you didn't do enough, it's your fault, and there's a lot of self-blame here, and I really want you to release as much of that self-blame as you can, the self-attack, the self-loathing, the shame. It is a very, very big part of what I see here. Now, I know I've worked on you before, but this is related to your situation with Ryan specifically. I'm sure we all have these kind of things from multiple different scrambles and different patterns. So I want you to release all of those into your light, and I do see it releasing, and I feel this just tremendous agony of despair, and you're despairing because you feel like a tremendous failure. You have taken on this responsibility for Ryan, and he wasn't always your son, you weren't always the mother, but there were other lives where you were in a situation with him that you blamed himself. I do see you on the outside looking in where he has been imprisoned, he has been tortured, and it's interesting now that he is in prison because I do see that there are definitely lives where he has been imprisoned, and so he's manifesting in the outer reality this whole prison situation. But in any case, we'll go back and work on him with that. But I want you to, in just a minute, but I want you to start the releases with this idea of tremendous guilt that you didn't do enough, that there's a lot of hopelessness and helplessness here, and there's all this I should have, could have stuff, if onlys, and all of that regret is just palpable because you believed yourself to be at fault. And so please, I want you to release as much of that as you can. And then what's happened in this life, of course, here he is back in prison, and it is absolutely triggering that old lifetime. And I just saw the slight vignette of one of many of you standing on the outside. He is in prison and being tortured, and you are literally hearing him scream, okay? It is a very, very difficult, very dark life, and so that is being triggered off for you right now. And so let's get rid of that as much as we can. It was like a knife to your heart to experience that, In this day and age, the prisons are off very private, and you would never, if there's would be any torture or anything, you wouldn't hear it on the outside. But in the olden days, and who knows when this was, the prisons were right on the street, and people were tortured even in front of other people. I mean, it was very open, and you were in a situation where he was being held and tortured, and you could hear. So this is really very dark and very, very upsetting. And I want the higher self to please bring in divine serenity and divine love and divine understanding, and also to bring in as much, let's activate as much light and as much energy around this experience for you, and actually for Ryan too, because he did experience that, and so that's probably being triggered off too for him, this life and other lives. So I want to begin for him while you are releasing yours. I want to go back to Ryan, and actually I see the spotlight on both of you. So both of you are going to be releasing elements of this pattern right now, and okay, the spotlight is now gone to include all the people in the prison, the jail, or whatever he's in. I don't know, the lockup. I'm not sure exactly what kind of thing you call where he is, but the hub that had the people there, that hub, interestingly enough, is also getting some releases and healing energy as we speak. So Ryan is releasing the trauma and the drama and the pain and the suffering of the lifetimes where he was tortured and beaten and been imprisoned. Sometimes he was imprisoned and there was no torture. He was just, put in prison. The key was thrown away, so to speak. So there were just many different elements of being locked up. And so those experiences I'm seeing being released from Ryan, and all the ripple effect, the emotional devastation, the despair, the agony, the trying to understand the whys. This is something very powerful in these kind of situations. It's part of the human condition. We try to understand why, and we lock on to answers, and usually, many times, the answers are extremely limited because we simply don't have the more expanded understanding, especially in this time and place where the frequencies on this planet and other planets were relatively low, at least in comparison to where we are today. So there's a lot of this wanting to figure out why, and all of the misunderstandings, misconceptions, and misinterpretations that he locked into. And these two are very important for him to let go of as best as he can. The old belief systems, it must, for example, here's one, the gods must be punishing me, or God must be punishing me. So there is part of this old belief system that he deserves to be punished, that he is being punished, and that if he's not careful, he's going to be punished even more, not only by God, but by the FBI or the authorities, whatever the authorities are in his mind at any point in time. So some of the paranoia has locked onto and is fed by the misunderstandings that he took in some of those lives about God, about the higher ups. Now, I do see too that he also blames and feels that somehow the spiritual authorities around whatever the spiritual dynamics were, the spiritual arena was, the spiritual authorities also got a level of blame. Also, I see that he decided that I get more like the royal house or the noble houses or these kind of societies were extremely hierarchical, and so he found himself blaming the higher ups in the hierarchy. Sometimes it was the royal houses, sometimes like noble houses, sometimes more like civic councils, that sort of thing. And this too, the external authorities got a lot of the misunderstood blame, and doesn't mean that sometimes they weren't directly responsible, but for putting him in the prison, and he probably would, but maybe it was one individual that needed a scapegoat, or maybe they made a mistake and there was a real guy that did whatever and it wasn't him. I don't know just how careful they were back in those days. But in any case, he created through many lifetimes this real paranoia around the external authorities. So I want, as much as that's possible, I want that to be released and to be let go and to understand. I want to bring in divine understanding that external authorities aren't an it. They're made up of individuals, and there can be individuals in any group that have that are malintentioned or want to hurt or harm, but it's not the whole group. But he's locked into this whole idea of all the authorities, and he's been unable to personalize anyone within those authorities. And actually, this is being released, and it's also having effect on the prison hub, because a lot of the other prisoners, number one, carry a similar, we all do, we all have issues with external authorities, and that too is in my next book. But in any case, some of the inmates are releasing their very negative viewpoint about all authorities. But on the other side, in the guards and the administrators, they also have they're releasing belief systems. Gosh, this is getting to be so complex. I hope Robin doesn't mind. They're releasing the ideas that all prisoners are the same. So it's working both sides of the coin, and I want to thank the higher self for doing this. So, because what we want in any system, any group, is the ability to discern and to see that it's not, that generalizations are just that, generalizations, and not to lock into either side of the coin, either side of the blame game, either side blaming the other side. And so we're releasing a lot of blame here too, and I'm seeing it come out from the heart center of Ryan. I feel it flowing out in a huge, big cloud moving into the light from the hub, from the jail. Anytime we release blame, so we need to work on the victim thing. We want to release the victim thing, and I know Robin said Ryan he's always the victim, and so I want very much to release the victim thing. I also want everybody to release the victimizer thing, because we all know if we're blamed, we become the victimizer, whether we've ever done anything. And we carry that energy, and we can take on guilt and think we made mistakes or it's our fault if somebody blames us. And if they have good arguments, boy, we take it in like hook, line, and sinker. So we have the elements of both the victimizer and the victim. And so I want both of those to be addressed from both Ryan and the hub that's carrying the people from the jail or the prison. Okay, so that's being ongoing now. I'm seeing the spot. Thank you, higher self, for the spotlight effect. It's really helping me know where to go next. And now we're moving over to the group that's holding all those related to the legal process, the lawyers, the judge, the clerks. I mean, the administrators. Anything and everything are part of anybody who's part of the system that has either a direct or indirect effect have come in. Now, the interesting thing is I have worked on legal problems both for myself and for others, actually quite often, and also other groups. What I'm not seeing here, which is interesting to me, is that I'm not seeing resistance to the work. Often when I call in a big group, there can be one or two at the soul level that hold themselves out separately. It was always my indication that they came in, but they were not willing to do the healing portion. They became observers. Once in a blue moon, somebody would actually leave, but mostly they would stay and not take in the healing energies. I'm not seeing it either in the jail population, and I'm also not seeing it here with the legal, all the people that are on the legal process hub. So I want to just begin the releases for those in the legal process, and also for Ryan related to the legal process. What's coming up immediately is whatever process was in existence, which was actually minimal many times. I don't see any, I'm getting scenarios of different lives where the legal process was weak to non-existent. One witness, I'm seeing a life where he was in front of looks like a king, and there was one witness against him, and so it was really and no attempt to validate or verify anything that the witness said, and the witness just said it was him, meaning it was Ryan, whoever he was in that life, and the king said okay, and that was it. There was really virtually no process. Maybe the witness had some. The king had some knowledge or favor toward that witness, or maybe somebody did that he knew and convinced him that the witness was right ahead of time. Who knows what the details were? But I just seeing all sorts of vignettes around very little, very, very, very little any kind of legal process. So he's come out of those lives as feeling, again, not only validating for him and intensifying for him his belief that the external authorities are not his friend and are totally in the wrong, okay? But he also, there's no hope there. He just has a belief system based on real life experience from the past that he absolutely can't, this is a farce. This legal system thing is a farce. And so I want to ask the higher self to please help him begin to release this locked-in viewpoint coming from very real events, that it is a farce and that there's nothing that can come of it, and he would just be an idiot to even have any hope for any kind of resolution. And there's this doom and gloom, this absolutely, well, he's fated, I mean, he's been fated, and how many times has it happened to him kind of thing, that he's just going to get the worst case scenario and he has no say. So I want all of that to be released, that those belief systems that he's absolutely, there is no hope, and that this is a farce. And if he, in order to, we want him to release that belief, because it's so locked in. It's as if it's in a trunk, and there's 18 locks around the top of that trunk, and it is so locked in. And so we're going to have to tackle this trunk, because this is not going to be an easy release for him. I don't know if we can fully unlock this trunk, but let's give it a try. I want everybody who's listening, past, present, and future, certainly Robin and I, we're all going to, in the higher self, Jane and company is actually becoming involved at this point. They're going to help channel light with the help of the higher self. They're going to help channel light into the locks. It's as if the light is turning into the specialized key that each one of these exterior locks around the trunk need, and the keys are moving in. We do not need to know, I'm getting that we do not need to know exactly what each lock is, what each piece of the belief system is, at least not yet. And I'm seeing one lock in particular being, it's as if it has that key, as if it's a laser light, and it's just literally opening and dissolving the lock. Okay. And it's falling away. But we now have the other 17. Now, I don't know if it's 17, but there's more than 2, and there's more than 5. There's a lot of locks here. Okay, so now I want everyone, let's address another lock. Let's do what we can. Let's just bring in the big guns. Please, higher self, we want to begin to really, and I do see now that there are keys in almost every lock. I think almost every lock. There may be 1 or 2 in the back that I'm not seeing in the symbol, but right now I'm seeing at least 3/4 of the locks with the keys of light in them. It's just an interesting symbol. And I want the light to just keep sending in the light. And what the light is doing is it's moving in through and around, even though it's going into the lock. In essence, it's symbolic of the light moving into the elements of Ryan's belief system to neutralize the tendrils, the twine, the interlocking beliefs that are keeping that lid shut. And so we want to just keep sending the light in, and you can see it not only working on the lights, but understand that it's moving in through and around the totality of his mind and his soul, and working to dissolve both the direct and the indirect misunderstandings, misconceptions, misinterpretations, the false beliefs, the self-identities. And this is all, again, one more piece of the insanity pattern, that he was really unable to deal with moving out of it, because this box is so locked. It just had such a hold on him that there was no hope. Now, the legal situation is also tied in with the external authorities that I talked about earlier. So these are all interrelated. Even though I'm dealing with it sort of one piece at a time, each piece we work on helps get even deeper layers of the other pieces, etc. So this is a very Okay, well, what I'm seeing now is that the whole box itself is being encased in light. The whole box. It's kind of like a trunk, like those big steamer trunks they used to use in the olden days, and I know they still use them, but not very often now that we have carry-on luggage and we put it up in the bins. We rarely have a big steamer trunk, but there are people, of course, that still use them, and they do come in handy for camp situations. And it's as if this whole big steamer trunk that was carrying this belief system that had locked it down is now encased in light. And I'm seeing the darkness inside there. Even though it's encased in light, there's still darkness. And what I want to do is I want the light to drill, symbolically, of course, a hole right through the top of the trunk. Not a big hole, so that the stuff coming out of the trunk won't overwhelm him. But we want to drill a hole right in the top of that trunk so that the darkness can begin to ooze out into the light. In other words, to help him handle what all of that's in there, the pain, the suffering, the fear. There's a lot of fear here, but we don't want him to be overwhelmed. So we want him to release the fear of the fear that it won't be different, the fear that all of his fears are going to come true. There's nameless fears, there's specific fears, there's just so much fear here. And the box is now light, so the light itself is now completely merged with the trunk, and you can sort of imagine the light moving in and starting to neutralize the fear from the outside in. But also there is a release process going through this small hole, so the fear is also coming out and being drained in that way. And it's just a lot of fear. And I want to enlarge the hole a little bit. I'm getting the indication he can handle more of the release. He feels safe because the light is around it. There's a safety factor here for him that's allowing him to let go of it, and in even a more in a stronger way. So that process is actually ongoing right now. Okay, while that process is ongoing, I'm getting another indication. We have a lot of little hubs here, and there is a hub here with others that are mentally ill. And I do see Aggie and some of Jane and Company helping with this group of people, and they've been waiting very patiently to get the help they need. But they have been getting help, I should say. As I said, Jane and Company are helping them to receive the light, and they've been going through the healing. The Jane and Company has been helping them. Not all of these people, in fact, are in body. Some of these are out of body. But even out of body, they have the belief system. It's a very thin veil. If you have the belief system, you're insane here, you have it over there when you lay aside the body, unless you get help, and you are helped out of that. And I can see now that Aggie has very much become a part of helping those souls who are out of body, who to get back into the movement forward, because when you move into heaven and you have a belief system that keeps you from learning and growing and getting the schooling and the help and everything that you need, it kind of can freeze your process. And we've all had it in our lives over the eons of time. This is normal. But Aggie is now there, absolutely helping these souls. So she has been talking to them and communicating and explaining the processes that have been going on up to this point in time. And now it's just the cutest thing. It's just like the overall impression I get from these souls are almost like they're children, And it's not that they are necessarily chosen, it's that they have an innocence about them, an excitement and an anticipation about them because they've had enough help over time. This isn't the first exposure they've had. They've been helped and involved in a process of counseling and help on the other side already, but they're coming in, this is an innocence because they've never been part of this kind of process. There's an anticipation here. It feels really good to me. And there also is a desire to get the direct work, and so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to activate the light, the higher selves. Please help them do all the releases that they can do, and okay. They're releasing the it's confusion. It's not sure, the self-doubt, the not being sure of where they're going and can they do it, the being part of this learning process and being worried they're going to fail, just all of that sort of insecurity, all of that newness. When we all start out on some new road, we're just not sure how it's going to unfold. So there's a little bit of trepidation and anxiety, fear of the future. How will it work for me? I'm not getting any really heavy patterns, and I think the higher selves are just enabling this group to experience something without me spending a long time going into some of the deeper patterns. So, but this is really good, and they are releasing up a storm. I feel, even though it's been so short, I already feel them moving from like a childlike thing into a place of more maturity, more self-confidence, more like in the situation of you're moving into the teens, maybe, getting a little bit more awareness, understanding of the world, and your viewpoint is moved past the focal point simply on your own, home and your parents and that sort of thing. And so I just see a lot of shifting going on for that group, and there's a lot of joy here. There's a tremendous amount of joy. It's as if they really know that they're getting help. They're getting, that their whole process. I don't mean just this little healing thing, but they really are joyful. There's a sense of joy here. And I would like to bring in divine joy, divine love, divine hope to the entire group. And I see it moving in, and it's engulfing the totality of all the group, and divine serenity is important, and divine clarity of vision and expanded perception. Each and every group can use that energy, divine balance and harmony. I want to also put in divine sanity, because we know it was an important one for Ryan, and of course the Aggies group is important too. So we want to call in divine sanity, and the higher selves are moving in, through, and around the group. The healing is actually over. They're moving in, through, and around the group and attending each individual, moving that cocoon of energy around to help with the continued processing, because just because the healing is ended, they can continue the processing and will, as each individual allows from the soul level, keeping in mind that it's the soul level that is calling the shots. Also, the cocoon helps with the acclimation. So I just want to take a look at Ryan one more time. And I do see a shift again. He's still standing in the light. That symbol has not changed, and I'm kind of happy it hasn't. but there does seem to be a little bit more of the solidity or the sense that I feel that he's more in the middle of reason. He doesn't. I'm not feeling all that fear and paranoia, waiting for the shoe to drop and all of that. I'm not saying it's gone, because in real life these things take layers, but I think for today we've taken some good steps forward. He has made some shift from the early symbol to what it is now, and he does have the cocoon around him. I'd like to call in also whatever energy is needed and necessary to connect Ryan with all the process that he is going to be involved in. So it's going to be the legal process. It could be, if he's recommended for some sort of counseling, the counseling process. Connect him with his parents and any other loved ones. I want the light to have some divine connection for him, and carrying the energy on an ongoing basis that is going to bring in balance and harmony in his highest ideal at all times, no matter how that plays itself out. So I want to put in those connections, amalgamate the connections with the higher self. They're always going to be in his highest ideal. And I do see him connecting with the jail population, the legal process thing, and with the parents, Robin and his father and his stepfather. He's connecting with all of them, and I'm sure if there are others that's also happening. I'm just dealing with the ones that I got for the healing. Whew. So, wow. So I'm seeing now that the healing is really moving to a close, and all the hubs are now being cleared. Ryan is still there, and I just want to send him all my love and all my my hope for him that everything will be okay over the next few days. And same to Robin. Okay. So, wow. I'm like completely overwhelmed. There was an awful lot that went on in that healing. An awful lot good happened. I'm hoping there'll be some very positive effects and shifts manifesting in the outer reality. I truly, truly hope that will happen. And yikes. I don't even know what to say, but wow. I know that, Robin has actually activated. She didn't know if she was going to feel well enough to talk after the healing, so I will, but she did put the little question mark on, so I'm going to put her on just to see if she has anything to say that she would like to share with you listeners, okay? And I hope all the listeners got help with this one. I really do. All right, here she is. Let me activate your mic. Hey, Robin.
Hi, Janet.
How are you?
I'm okay. You know, I've been really not in a good state of mind at all over all this, but I'm okay. I followed along. I thought it was a great healing. I just wanted to thank you, and I appreciate it. And I think you hit on so many different important aspects, you know, about it. What I thought was really interesting was the idea that because his belief system is so tightly locked in that if he were to open it up, all the fear and all the fear of what that would mean for him to have to start looking at the other possibilities that some of his
Yeah.
ideas aren't right, and there may be another way, and just that sense of fear that was released, like there's a crack in the shell and it starts oozing out or something, the fear and the worry. I thought that was very interesting. I could see where that would happen. But
I didn't see that clear completely. I left it in process, as you recall, but I know that it will go as much as he can today. He will release. But yeah, that was a biggie. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And the thing with the trunk and letting the light in. Oh, that's right. And there was a lot more fear associated with opening up the trunk.
Yeah.
It
came out in different ways, a couple of different places. Yeah.
Right. I've always felt that at the very basis of Ryan's conditions, that the bottom line main factor is fear and probably confusion. Fear and confusion, I would say. And anyway, but I thought it was great, and I'm so glad that the higher selves took it to include, the legal people involved, the legal process, the jail population, even the guards, then other mentally ill people. That was really good. I have another girlfriend who's very severely paranoid schizophrenic, so it was nice that I could put her on the hub and know she's getting some help too. And I just it was very, very good, and I really want in the coming weeks, I know one of the ways I can help Ryan the most is if I go and review the other phone healings that we've had with him. I think there were 3 last year, and this one also. Just keep up this kind of work, and who knows? Ryan may be he's not open to traditional psychotherapy or medication, but something like the work you do, who knows? Maybe he would be open to it. And
it can help, even though he doesn't agree mentally. He was there at the soul level. He was doing the healing, so it means at the soul level.
Yes.
He hasn't closed out this kind of help. And so I agree. If you do listen to those again, and again, you can them during the healing and other things, in case I don't say it, but if you do continually do that, it will take more layers off, and it might open him up at the conscious level. I mean, that would be the hope. But yes, it can absolutely help him.
Right. Well, that was very good. I really appreciate it, and hopefully in the near future we'll do a healing on me and work on my drinking problem that I've been having over this, just my drinking problem, and that got so triggered with this whole thing with Ryan.
Let me just tell you, kiddo, that we will work on it, so no worries. But that was a pretty heavy lifetime where you were outside hearing him scream. Did you? I'm sorry about that. That was intense.
Yeah, that would be very intense and very painful, and yeah, I do. I do have a deep love for my son, despite everything that's gone on and all the terrible names he's called us, and the fact that he doesn't appreciate or ever thank us for what we have done. It's just never enough. But
he's just unable. You see, you're part of that external authority now. It's all tied in. And so he's just completely unable to allocate any positive anything to those external authorities. it's just been so intertwined, interwoven, and distorted over the the lifetimes. And so it really isn't personal to you, but being there and not feeling any kind of appreciation must be very painful and difficult. I can't imagine. But your love for him,
Yeah,
you're never going to.
it is, and he has opened up a little bit, like he'll occasionally he'll let me give him a hug now. The other day on the phone from jail, I said, I love you, take care. I always tell him I love him, and sort of under his breath he said, I love you. And he said to tell Rich hello. So that was
wow.
really good. Yeah, that was good. So I told Rich that Ryan said to say hello to him, and Rich was like flabbergasted. Rich was like, "What? Ryan said to say hello to me?"
Well, yeah. So there can be, and there will continue to be some shifts. So that's the good news. Yikes.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm pretty
You're
amazed
welcome.
myself, and but I really do hope that something good all will come out of this, and this healing has really helped me to have faith and hope that that healing does happen, that something good can happen, and that we just need to work at it.
Yeah, that's it. We just need to connect. And it's sometimes easier said than done because lives are busy. We have a lot of things calling on our time. So it is easier said than done, and trust me, I get that as much as anyone else. I can only just encourage, like you were saying, to just do the work.
Right. Oh, okay, Janet. Well, thanks again. Thanks a million. I appreciate it, and I think this was a very powerful healing, and I know it's going to have an impact on the activity tomorrow.
Well, thank you for bringing it to me. I'm really glad that you did, and it's going to help a lot of others for sure. And I love you, Robin. So just
Oh, and I love you too, Janet.
Let's
so
get
much.
connect. Okay. Bye-bye, kiddo.
Oh, okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys. So thank you, listeners, for tuning in. And until next week, I have another healing for next week. They're starting to come in again. Thank you. I'm so happy. Healing, I always enjoy sharing information with you and trying new things and expanding in different ways. So it's all good. But I really did miss the individual healings. So I'm glad I have a healing for next week. If you want to call in or email me requesting a healing, please do. It's janet@janetrichmond.com or janet@higherselfvoice.com. Either way, you'll get to me, and I will answer you. And I will do, allocate a healing for you on air. Okay, so have a great week, everyone. And again, thank you to Robin for bringing me the opportunity, and I send all my love to her and to Ryan, his father and his stepfather, and to all the listeners as well. Okay. With that, I will say goodbye until next week.